Hello everyone, Untitled, welcome to another Modpack review, this time on category testing fabric. A Modpack simply adds in a good mix of tech, weapons and tools, and tweaks, among other things. So, you can use this on 1.16.2 and 1.16.3. Pretty much the only thing I've come across really matters when downloading it from CurseForge. Download I've got here is pretty much the Disable Custom Worlds Advice mod, pretty much, which was just to get rid of the experimental settings message. But other than that, if you just get rid of that when using in multi-MC or using in 1.16.3, if you do go about doing that with certain things, then yeah, you can do that. But for the most part, we'll just take a look. Obviously we've got Bedrockify, the menu here, loading screen and other aspects. First up, and then we'll just wait a bit and see what else is in store. Okay, so as you can see, we've got certain HUD elements such as cron HUD, so we can find out what keys we can use, along with how many arrows we have, our coordinates, which direction we're facing. Trying to remember all the cases with those. I think it's like time or FPS or certain other things. The position, a bit other stuff there, as well as just the sort of things in hand. Other than that, of course, just take a look at the content. So for blocks and items and such, you've got gravel ores, which adds in just gravel versions of ores. So when you smelt them, you're not getting much out of them, but when you break them, you obviously get quite a bit from them. Otherwise, of course, you do also need to use a shovel for them. You've got materialization, which adds in a bunch of different tools made from different components. So obviously you need to make a tool head and a tool rod, and you can use any different types of materials that are available. So you can use, say, a wood head and gold tool rod, or diamond head and iron tool rod, or this, that, and the other. And obviously there's a bunch of different variations of tools, being hammers, axes, sorry, mega axes technically, swords, shovels, picks, and more. There's a bunch of different components here. I haven't got it expanded for like other types of materials in the pack that could be used here, so it's sort of just the base ones that apply here. Obviously you got some patterns and other stuff as well, all the blocks you use to pretty much craft these components. So yeah, you just sort of make them accordingly with the following resources. So yeah. Next we've got Atapaxels, which is pretty much just paxels, like so, using any of the 3 tools and sticks, and then obviously you've got the according features, and I think possibly different durability. I think, let's see, yeah, slightly different durability. You've got, oops, wrong one. You've got iron jetpacks, which adds in different components as well as jetpacks. So pretty much you can just use a normal one here. I'm trying to know which, wrong one, no. What was the button? The keyboard. Let's see. No, okay, so V is it. Okay, so V to activate, and then so on. And obviously you can hover, but I haven't got it set up correctly, so yeah. And you can pretty much just use the flight, hovering, because they're powered, and you charge them, and so on. There's different tiers to make with them. Obviously the further you go up, the better they are at launching you up higher, or oh, okay, there's a crash. I hadn't come across that yet, so I'm going to work that out. But yeah, that's pretty much just a bunch of stuff there. You've got, I think next was Kybe, which adds in a bunch of utility stuff. So you got things like a vacuum hopper, you've got conveyors, you've got spikes, you've got hang glider, you've got special buckets for voiding or a wooden version, so it's a lot cheaper than an iron one. A bunch of different stuff there. Cron hard we already saw, which was just the sort of aspects on the outside. Let's see. What else is there? Camp, just allowing campfires to be your home point. What else is there? Yeah, we'll get into them, of course. We'll just have to wait for this to load up again. But yeah, I've not come across that before, so definitely have to work that out. And I marked it as beta. Okay, so get rid of that. Anyways, we'll move on. Let's see. Yep, so we've got conveyors, we've got a vacuum hopper, we've got a bigger torch for mobs, you've got elevators, you've got lassos for capturing mobs, you've got rings, either light or creative mode flight, or fire resistance, water breathing, we've got a chunk loader, an XP shower and drain. Excuse me, along with certain other aspects, like so. So void bucket, as well as the wooden ones, glider, and so on. With sort of ender chests and tanks, and other bits and pieces. You've got Astro Mine, which adds in meteors, as well as certain tools based on whatever materials you have, whether it be an alloy or typical ore or just typical vanilla sort of tools. A bunch of different components for different machines and certain other aspects, along with, where is it? There you go. Oh, there we go. Just didn't show them all. There we go. So different components, your meteor ore, your spacesuits, different components for your rocket. So obviously you make that eventually. And then obviously you get your different machines for different things, for either storing fluids, coal generation, fluid power generation, electric furnace, alloy furnace, ore doubling, breaking things down into dust and other components, plate maker, electrolyzers for some other bits and pieces, for making fuel, I'm pretty sure, the rockets, and then other aspects as well, for charging, or a warhead, or other bits and pieces. So yeah, I'll keep going. So we'll go past that. Let's see. We've got resource tools for adding in compressed version of blocks, as well as certain tools that are useful for certain things. So for making a path, or oops, what we got here? Breaking certain blocks to get certain resources. You could use, for example, a hand pick on magma block and get magma cream, I think, or certain others like endstone to get, I think, ender pearls or nether stars. And you get certain components, so nether star fragments and other bits and pieces there. Excuse me. You got adabranium, which adds in additional materials. So you've got nether from nether brick, you've got adamantium, which obviously is new ore. You've got vibranium also. And you obviously got the one-shot sword, which is creative mode. And then otherwise from Astro Mine, As we continue on, has obviously the different ores. You've got catwalks, you've got conveyors, you've got power pipes, and a few other aspects. You've got simple backpack, which adds in additional storage. We've got a portable chest one, where you've got the ability to avoid things you don't want. So for example, it's the cobble here, and now it's gone. You've got how the crafting has tabled, which adds in additional crafting tables using the other wood plank types. You've got, let's see, improved stations, which adds in crafting station that keeps your stuff inside the inventory space, along with slab versions of different blocks. You've got Curious API, which is pretty much just sort of the aspect on the side for different stuff, which we'll get to what mod can use it soon. And then we've got the other machines from Astro Mine, which are here. We've got Bumble Zone, which adds in a different dimension for the sake of sort of expanding beehive, bee nests, sorry, which we'll get to. We've got Age of Exile, which adds in a ton of different gems for different purposes. You've got different swords, you've got different armor, and most of this stuff you'll pretty much be using to obviously gear yourself up, prepare yourself against certain mobs with different levels, and possibly measure different health, maybe attack damage, I'm not sure. And you'll probably put some of the aspects of that mod into here with some of the rings, for example. Yep, I don't know how that happened. Okay. I can shift click it in, but manually doing it just deletes it. There we go. The different wands with different aspects to them, and so on. And then you've got finally Flaming Hot, which allows you to make fireproof blocks, I think, when applying it to things. I get to cover this one a bit, but as far as I can tell from the mod page, it seemed to be that way, which seemed useful. And you've got two ring mods, one for magnetizing certain items, and then one for increasing crop growth and such. Other than that, there's a book for Age of Exile, and yeah, the other stuff is just, you can tweak certain aspects of GUIs. You've got different components of Astro Mine if you want to use others, or use some but disable others. Bedrockifier with the bedrock like aspects, block meter for selecting in that certain points for measuring blocks, so useful for that. So for example, we could set the, is there an item? There is not, no. There's a certain keybind you press, and then you go from here and then to here, and then it'll measure the amount of blocks. Custom selection box, which obviously, as you can tell, changes the selection box there to whatever you want. Sort of customization aspects there. Disables the experimental settings message. A vacuum hopper and hopper duct sort of item or block. Stonecutters can harm entities. The ability for certain holographic aspects to be possible in the world, making your campfire and that useful for spawn points and other things. Finding out exactly what mod something's from when looking at it. Support for a mod pack. Dynamic lighting when holding a torch. The sort of changes to grass, as you can see there. What else we got? Certain other bits and pieces. A zoom function. Having the ability for certain items and things to appear in ice randomly, but you can also put stuff in ice if you wish. Right clicking search. Boxes. What else have we got? I think that's about it. Copying text from signs, coffee, indicators, and then letting you know exactly in that what tool is required to mine stuff. But that's pretty much it. Thanks so much for watching, and goodbye.